Did you know that you have to spell a word to get into heaven? This story illustrates what I'm saying. A woman arrived at the gates of heaven, and while she was waiting for St. Peter to greet her, she looked through the gates. She saw a beautiful banquet table. Sitting all around were her parents and her friends and all the people that she'd loved and who had died before her. They saw her and began to call out to her, "Hello, how are you? We've been waiting for you. Good to see you." When St. Peter came by, the woman said to him, "This is such a wonderful place. How do I get in?" St. Peter said, "You have to spell a word." The woman asked, "Well, which word is that?" And St. Peter said, "You have to spell the word love." And she did. And then she went into the kingdom of heaven. About a year later, St. Peter came to the woman and asked her and said, "Would you mind watching the gates today for me, because I'm quite busy?" And the woman agreed. And while she was guarding the gates of heaven, her husband arrived. "I'm surprised to see you," she said. "How have you been?" And the husband said, "Well, I've been doing very well since you died. I married that lovely, beautiful young nurse who took care of you when you were ill. I then won the lottery. I sold the little house that you and I lived in and bought a huge mansion. And my wife and I travelled all around the world. And whilst in Mexico, on a water skiing holiday, I fell and hit my head and died, and here I am. How do I get in?" And the woman said, "Well, you have to spell a word." And the husband said, "Well, which word is that?" And she says, "Czechoslovakia." The moral of the story is, never make a woman angry. There will be hell to pay later. It was payback time for the woman. We live in a society where getting even has become fashionable. Giving someone a taste of their own medicine has become fashionable, or even necessary sometimes. When we watch a movie, we like the good guy to win and we like the bad guy to get what's coming to him or to her. It's called karma. What goes around comes around. Now, the opposite of all that is the Christian notion of forgiveness. That is to be freely given to all. But is that possible or even realistic? How do we react when someone comes to us and says sorry? Or in the words of the psalm, "Be merciful to me, a sinner." The reality is, it all depends on how serious the situation is and how deeply we've been hurt or mistreated. As we know, forgiveness isn't always our strongest suit. Isn't always easily given. Isn't always easily received sometimes either. And I think that can be a good thing, because to give it sometimes too easily cheapens what it's all about. It has to mean something to the giver and the receiver for it to really leave its mark. Saying "I am sorry" isn't always enough. It has to be connected with the real desire to change. Sociologists now believe that the process of forgiveness includes 4 requirements. Firstly, admitting that you're at fault and that you are wrong. Secondly, to show genuine remorse. Thirdly, to acknowledge the damage that's been done. And lastly, what do I need to do to put things right? What do I need to do differently in the future? Forgiveness is a special gift, and when given and received sincerely, can help change a person's behaviour and direction in life. But it is not to be treated casually or lightly or flippantly. And if we find that we can't forgive, let's not be too hard on ourselves, because we're part of the human race. It doesn't mean we're bad people, it just means that we are human and that we deserve to be treated a bit better by certain people. So if we do find ourselves giving ourselves a hard time, maybe this may help us in the future. It's called One Day It Just Clicks. You realise what's important and what isn't. You'll learn to care less about what other people think of you and more about what you think of yourself. You realise how far you've come, and you remember when you thought things were such a mess that you would never recover. And you smile. You smile because you are truly proud of yourself and the person you fought to become. And now to end with a bit of romance. There's a husband sat in the lounge and there's a picture of his wife on the wall. And he begins to throw darts at the picture. And not one hits the target. And his wife in the kitchen shouts out, "What the hell are you doing?" And the husband said, "Missing you, my dear. Romance is not dead. Have a lovely day. Hopefully we'll get some good news from the government in the next day or two, and hopefully we can move on to the future. I look forward to seeing you all again. God bless you all. Love you all. Father Mike."